However, President William H. Taft commuted his sentence, but ruled that McFadden paid the $2,000 fine. One of the exhibits used by the prosecution was a small statue of the classic sculpture of the Venus de Milo, which the arresting officers took off McFadden's desk. And the court agreed that this statue represented pornography.
Comstock and his prudes were relentless in mounting countless legal challenges against McFadden, his magazines, and his physical culture activities. In 1910, staggering legal expenses forced McFadden to leave his company in the hands of a trusted associate and travel to England. Knowing that European countries were more liberal than the U.S., McFadden promoted another contest to crown England's most perfect woman. The winner was Mary Williamson, a 19-year-old champion swimmer whom the 45-year-old McFadden married several months later. Together, they successfully toured the country, billing themselves as the world's healthiest man and woman.
To prove that they were the world's healthiest man and woman, McFadden suggested to his new wife, Mary, that they have some type of a publicity stunt. And this stunt would include Mary diving off a 60-foot pier into the ocean. Ordinarily, this would not have been a really big deal for Mary because she was very athletic. But at the time he asked her, at this time, she was 5 or 6 months pregnant with their child. Believe it or not, Mary finally agreed, and McFadden's publicity stunt proved to be a great success. This heavily promoted event drew thousands of people who all watched in amazement at Mary McFadden's 60-foot high dive. And after the dive was completed, they all later learned that both Mary and her unborn child were completely unharmed. Apparently, McFadden's idea about having his wife Mary dive off that 60-foot pier turned to be a great public relations bonanza, if you will. His name became known throughout all of the United Kingdom and even spread back to his home in the United States. So much so that he got to meet many members of the royal family. Based on all this positive press, he felt again safe to return to the United States and once again began building his publishing empire. This is a biography on the life of Bernard McFadden, published by HarperCollins and written by Mark Adams. I got to know Mark pretty well because I did make some small contribution to the contents of this book. And Mark was kind enough to include me in his credits, saying that I had the only known collection of McFadden's personal papers. Author Mark Adams and his critically acclaimed book, Mr. America, really heavily inspired our 2009 version of this documentary.
Despite his setbacks, the level of success Bernard McFadden had achieved by 1919 was spectacular, but an even brighter future lay ahead. For this was the year he hit the publishing goldmine in the form of True Story magazine. The idea came from thousands of letters he was receiving from physical culture readers who were telling their life stories. McFadden correctly decided these stories could have reader appeal, and by the mid-20s, True Story magazine was selling more than 2 million copies a month. With the addition of many more magazines, such as True Romance, Bernard McFadden was now a multi-millionaire and began promoting his physical culture lifestyle in the conglomerate of newspapers that he also bought. As is the case today, rich people, especially those who own media, are courted by politicians or political wannabes. Jimmy Walker was seeking office as the mayor of New York City in 1925. Walker, known to his friend as Bo James, was best known for his nightlife escapades. McFadden struck an informal deal with Walker that he would provide financial and media support if Walker named him New York City Commissioner of Health, provided Walker was elected mayor. In 1926, Walker was elected. McFadden kept his end of the bargain, but Walker did not, saying everyone knows you can live to be 100 if you follow McFadden's ideas, but New York wants to live the way I do. Disappointed but undaunted, McFadden felt that the election of progressive liberal Franklin Roosevelt could open the door to not only an economic resurgence, but also to the reenactment of public policy that would serve to make Americans healthier. He backed Roosevelt with financial support and endorsement in his newspapers. In return for his support, McFadden proposed the establishment of a new cabinet post to be called the Secretary of Health, to which he could be appointed. When Roosevelt became president, no cabinet post for Secretary of Health was established. And again, Bernard McFadden's quest to make physical culture a part of the American lifestyle had failed. It was almost a quarter century later in 1953 when President Dwight Eisenhower named Oveta Culp Hobby as the very first Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare. Over the years, McFadden's real estate portfolio included the Castle Heights Military Academy in Lebanon, Tennessee, with a campus auditorium bearing his name. The curriculum of the school reflected McFadden's character of discipline and unwavering dedication to diet and exercise. Other holdings included the Deauville Hotel in Miami, the Arrowhead Springs Hotel in California, the McFadden Health Sanatorium and Training School in Chicago, and the McFadden Sanatorium in Battle Creek, Michigan. Apparently, his most prized possession was his Physical Culture Hotel in Dansville, New York.
Earlier in this production, we said we were going to tell you more about why the Castle of Wellness was Bernard McFadden's most prized possession. I think the major factor was the history and all the great wellness pioneers who lived and worked in that historical building in the Castle of Wellness. We have all become familiar with the term wellness, which is, by definition, a lifestyle to keep us healthy. Today, the insurance companies, the government, and of course the medical profession are all laying claim to the promotion of wellness. One of the prime objectives in producing this documentary was to inform you about the real and true origins of wellness and the person who more than 100 years ago almost succeeded in making our country the healthiest in the nation. In order to tell the full and complete story of Bernard McFadden, we must first go back in time a bit and recount a few short stories about his predecessors, who again are true unsung heroes of today's wellness movement. Today, we all know the importance of drinking water, staying hydrated. Its importance cannot be overestimated. Going back to the middle 1800s, a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Caleb Jackson, actually had a healing therapy known as the water cure.
In 1858, Dr. James Caleb Jackson came to town, and under his oversight, the resort he called Our Home on the Hillside attained a national reputation. Dr. Jackson was an advocate of an alternative therapy known as the water cure, which was based on abstinence from all fatty foods, sugar, and alcohol, replaced by a natural diet of fresh fruits, vegetables, and the use of pure, clean water applied externally and internally. A notable advocate of the benefits of the water cure was naturalist Charles Darwin, who created a firestorm of controversy with his publication of The Origin of Species.